Hello, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on Daily Politics, live on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Tonight, we unpack some of the biggest stories shaping national discourse, from mounting security concerns to unfolding legislative debates. At the Villa, the president met with service chiefs following a string of deadly insurgent attacks on military bases in the northeast, and growing alarm over the rise of terror groups and their activities across the region. Meanwhile, at the National Assembly, lawmakers are pushing a controversial bill seeking to make voting compulsory for all Nigerian citizens. So, what's behind this proposed electoral shift? And what did the president take away from this high-level security meeting? Are the words matching the action? To help us break it all down tonight, our guest is Engineer Nuruddeen Hammanyero, a security and political analyst. Engineer, thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's good to see you again.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
Quite a lot to talk about tonight, as usual. But let's start with the biggest one. The biggest issue for the country over the past 1.5 decades or so, insecurity. There is this growing sense that we have gained a lot of ground, but recently you feel like the stability or the gains are slowly but surely slipping away with the developments that we've seen in the North Central over the past 2 months and what appears to be a resurgent insurgent attacks in Northeast, especially the epicenter of the Boko Haram insurgency in Maiduguri. Is it fair for Nigerians to say that the words of the government through the armed forces or the other security architecture are no longer matching the action?
Yeah, because for the common man, security is when he leaves his house, goes to his place of business or worship centers, or go about doing visitations and at peace without any cause to look back and be afraid of any kind of threat. But the moment you are threatened, there is no longer freedom of movement. You can't go about either to educational facilities or health or anywhere. Then certainly you'll be worried about security. And in the case of the Boko Haram, Mr. Talba, Nigerians are already tired of every day back and forth with the government policies and the security actions. It is true when you say the government, policy is not matching with the action. It is the right way to describe it, because this is being sincere as a Nigerian and getting worried because I'm a northerner, and again, as a concerned person, sympathetic to the people of Borno State and the general area that Boko Haram threaten, because this is how many years today? Sometimes you get to wonder what is happening. Without anything, everything goes down. And there will be this temporary happiness. There is no more insecurity. We've gotten back some territories. We are going about doing our businesses. And again, just recently, resurgence. We have seen it with high magnitude. No any traces of. There is what we call intelligence gathering, Mr. Talba. In every security architecture, there is what we call intelligence gathering. Is there a deliberate attempt to undermine the intelligence gathered and not putting it to use, or the mechanisms that are made or positioned for this intelligence gathering are no longer effective? Because it's two things, humans and machines. So if we are talking about the human being, one of the soldiers in the barrack that were attacked in Mate made a statement that he betrayed us, and he mentioned his name. He said Sharu betrayed us. I don't know if you saw it.
It wasn't a barracks per se, it was like a military outpost.
It's the same thing. You can call it a barrack because there are personnel there. So he said somebody betrayed them. We see him every time among us, and we feel he is part of us. He is a member of the civilian joint task force. So there was already that sense of, is he welcome into us? Should we welcome him in the first place? But there was laxity. They were relaxed, and the guys saw the position and he give it away. But again, this is not even the issue. So many things surrounding insecurity. One of it is welfare. These soldiers at the war front, we keep talking about these things. Are they properly taken care of? And this civilian joint task force, as we call them, that usually partners with our security forces to help them in information gathering, how do you compensate them? Are they well taken care of too? If you give me an office today, one of the reasons why most people not really justifying, because it's not proper and it's completely illegal to say you justify corruption, but most people make a case for illegalities in Nigeria because you ask me not to be corrupt. But with the biting economy that is both global and locally domestic in this country, you find somebody receiving 70,000 naira and you don't want him to be corrupt. It's the same thing even with the soldiers at the war front. Maybe the civilian joint task force person is just giving 20 or 30,000 naira at the end of the month as a stipend for him because with
all the risk. You're saying the risk versus the reward ratio is...
And he's giving an information that is worth maybe millions of naira. Now imagine if this guy can be traced easily with the Boko Haram member. And look, guy, we know what you are doing for us. And these guys have been dealing with us, but we want to teach them a lesson. Take and they throw 2, 3, 5 million naira to him. Maybe something he has not seen with the military for the past 2 years. And he has been giving his best, risking his life. And he is giving this money in a day. Right. Tell me how he will not. If he doesn't have conscience, he will throw everything away.
Right. Okay. So, let's have a listen to the Chief of Defense Staff speaking to State House correspondents immediately after that security meeting with the president.
Thank you very much.
It's another very important meeting with Mr. President.
Very well.
What may we know about this meeting?
It's one of assurance. I think our meeting today is for us to review the entire security situation in the country. The president is concerned about what's going on, and we have reassured him that we're on top of our game. We're working extremely very hard. What has happened of recent is that there's a global push by terrorists and jihadists all over the Sahel area, and that pressure is what actually came into Nigeria because of the nature of our borders. And so we have, Mr. President has given directives as to what to do next for us to intensify all efforts, collaborate with all our sister countries around, because it is the porous nature that is coming there that is actually aggravating our own issues on ground. And so all our theaters have been enhanced, equipments have been bought. Mr. President has also given us much approvals for air assets and other aspects of security. And like we said, it's not only the kinetic effort, the non-kinetic aspects that is most important. The President is also looking at the aspects of also discussing with the government for their own support, buy-in in ensuring that dividends of democracy also extends to the communities to be able to stamp down the issue of insecurity. And we're working together. You can see we're together with the National Security Advisor, the NSA, the DGDSS, and all other ones. So we're working together as a team. And you can see us here, members of the armed forces, working in unity, including the police, to make sure that Nigeria is peaceful. And that is our mandate, and that we work towards. We want to appeal to all Nigerians not to get tired. And they should be wary of fake news. There's a lot of fake news that has been spread out, making it look, most of the videos being circulated are videos from other countries or old videos, making it look as if it is new. And you always want to wonder, why do some individuals feel happy when things go bad in their country? If Nigeria is destroyed, all of us will go down. And so it is important that we all cooperate with members of the armed forces and security agencies. If we see something that is going wrong anywhere in the country, let us report. Action will be taken, including our own personnel. If we see them doing what is not supposed to be done, they should take a report and we'll take action. We want to thank all Nigerians for the support we've been getting. Thank you.
It's good to know that the President has given you this new momentum to improve on what you've been doing, and you are giving the assurance too. Some governors have been raising concerns, Borno, Plateau, and some of them. What assurance are you giving the residents of those states now?
Yeah, we're working together. Not long ago we went to the northeast together with the ministers. The Chief of Defense and other services have gone. Yesterday I just came out from Maiduguri to show you that we're working together with all the governors, because we know we cannot do it alone. We need also the governors to be part of it. The federal government is doing so much. States need to come in, local governments and communities. everyone has a role to play in ensuring that there's peace in Nigeria, and that's what we try to push, and that's what we're doing. And we're happy that Nigerians are warming up to it. Disregarding all those ones, you know, they are naysayers, those ones that don't mean us well. We're shaming them because we're going to continue to succeed. That we assure all Nigerians.
Right, that is General Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff, speaking to State House correspondent immediately after that security meeting, which of course is against the backdrop of the resurgence of attacks by Boko Haram insurgents in successive days, one might add, across the north, central and southern parts of Borno State, the epicenter of the Boko Haram insurgency. And this is not just Boko Haram attacks, there's also been recorded attacks by ISWAP members in different parts of the state over the past couple of weeks. Engineer, it's safe to say that Nigerians listening to the general could say that this message, we've heard it before in 2014, we've heard it before under the Buhari administration, and now we're hearing it again. There's that sense of deja vu, assurances, we're doing whatever we can, air assets, approvals, all of these things. Why are the words just simply not matching the actions in terms of what is actually happening on the ground right now?
We come back to the same thing, like you said, sincerity. You know, sincerity of purpose. Mr. Talba, the same Chief of Defense Staff the last time said there are foreign elements that were traced down to Benue State, perpetrating, you know, mayhem to the people of Benue State, not the indigenous herders that were, you know, initially suspected. And you get to start wondering, Benue State is a landlocked state in Nigeria, bordering Taraba State, Niger State, Nasarawa, every Plateau State. All these states are borders to Benue State, and they are landlocked. Benue State is in nowhere a border state with
doesn't share any international border.
Right. But foreign herders will come into Nigeria, move between 700 to 1,000 kilometers, traversing this country on their foot.
Are you saying the explanation doesn't make sense?
It doesn't make
sense.
It doesn't make sense. And that's what I'm saying, sincerity. So is it that they are not really giving us the actual information, or there is something to hide? For example, the Chief of Defense Staff is talking about push from the Sahel. Where is the evidence? If you have your reconnaissance, air reconnaissance assets, and it is okay when the president gives approval for air assets, but before now, this is just to boost it. It's not as if there was no air asset. The existing air asset, do they have any air reconnaissance, you know, that gave this information there was a push from the Sahel? And if there is, where is the evidence?
To be fair, we're witnessing and observing developments in Mali. We're seeing the attacks by the JNIM terrorist group in Burkina Faso. I mean, these things are happening at a global level where we can witness and make comments about.
I agree. And this should also bring about the discussion of reintegrating ourselves with our brothers, with our sister countries, who left us on a mere, you know, accusation of, yes, there was a coup d'etat, they refused to go back to democracy, there were sanctions, there was this and that, it was not managed well, they were threatened, and they pulled out. Today. A lot of things are happening. Yes, you can put that as one of the factors. But what I'm saying, in essence, is I don't know if you are aware, a sitting member House of Representatives in the plenary session make accusation, allegedly, that from 1999 to date, over 19 trillion naira was spent on security. 19 trillion naira, Mr. Talba. Just in the previous administration, the Buhari administration, we knew of when $1 billion was withdrawn from the excess crude account for the purpose of procurement of sophisticated, you know, military equipments to help in combating insecurity. But we never, whenever there is a show of force, because show of force is a routine in every country or locality to demonstrate readiness, and which will help to deter any form of, you know, sabotage. But again, whenever there's a show of force, you only get to see personnel with some, scattered equipments. That are even locally fabricated. You don't get to see the commensurate, demonstration of what was given, the expenditure and the equipment that
are you saying the Tinubu administration is towing the same line that the Buhari administration, followed and the Goodluck administration followed when it comes to managing the security question?
100%, and it's not helping matters. Goodluck, in his time, made a statement, Mr. Talba. He said, and I quote, that there are fifth columnists. I don't know if you can remember his statement. There are fifth columnists in his own administration. They were never mentioned. Buhari administration took over promising Nigerians they were going to shame sponsors of Boko Haram and bandits and IPOP. We never saw it. Now, we are expecting, yes, there were a number of people accused, BDCs. You don't even get to see who was arrested, but the matter goes down under the carpet, no more. Now, if these things are happening, the president should be firm. These military guys today, I'm not raising accusing fingers, but just go out, just on the road. Today in this town, when you hear people buy expensive properties, you hear there are military people, security people, either police or military, or senior directors in the civil service. Are you connecting of course, an imaginary dot or something? Absolutely, because, Mr. Talba, this is because security now has become business. Because ordinarily, these are things we can end. Remember, before Buhari came, he said that he will end Boko Haram in 6 months to 1 year. But he stayed with it for 8 years. And the remaining was story. It's kinetic and unkinetic. We cannot do this. We need to be sincere with this country. Right. When you find people that are connected to this Boko Haram activity in the northeast, or the bandit in the northwest, or the IPOP, all these terrorist organizations that have been labeled in this country, when you find people directly or indirectly sponsoring, I know the NFIU have been doing their best. Yes, is with the effort of the federal government in making sure any funds that comes into the country that are deemed illicit or suspicious of any form of threat are being frozen, or arrest is being made. But the thing is, I have not seen, this Mr. A, who is an icon in this, who is a big man in the country, an elite, was arrested because he was traced, with funds that he could not explain or were traced to Boko Haram's sponsorship or banditry or IPOP. And just of recent, in Delta State, we saw a Nigerian British major with his friends who were found illegally in this country with rifles and thousands of armors. But that's surely a positive development, isn't it? That yes, our security architecture is actually functioning. Of course, that has been uncovered, But again, we want to be. Let me tell you what usually discourages people that are scrupulous in nature. The moment one is arrested and is being, made public, investigation is going on, other arrest is taking place. Those that are having the intention to come to the table will certainly take a step back. But in a situation where somebody is arrested, you never hear about it again. I am waiting. I really want to follow up with this because I've been hearing investigation is taking place. Feed Nigerians. Feed Nigerians, because how did they come to Nigeria with these arms and ammo? How? He was arrested at the airport about boarding the plane to leave the country when he was arrested, the major. He's a Nigerian, meaning he is sabotaging the country. Just of recent, we saw what happened during the River State crisis when there was attack on our oil facilities and even attack on the refinery that was recently refurbished. So this sabotage, Mr. Talba, look, insecurity is in two forms, either external or internal. And these external factors that contribute to insecurity are usually as a result of all this network of terrors, network of terror group bordering your nation, or from any distance, because when they are determined, they will come. And secondly, you look at the regional crisis, of course, which is where you place the Burkina Faso, the Mali, and the rest, is there. We are not disputing Chad. But again, you come to look at internally, what have we been doing as a nation? If we say we have been given $1 billion to buy sophisticated, military equipment, where are they? There was a time in this country that we had continuous crashing of our helicopters, killing innocent pilots. Simply, and later there was conspiracy theories flying that the helicopters both were refurbished. They were not brand new. So, and you get to see these officers retiring, building houses, running into billions of naira, and nobody investigates. You cannot be a civil servant serving this country, even if your salary is 10 million naira, and you build a house of 5-10 billion naira. It's not possible.
I mean, surely,
so we should try.
Surely you would acknowledge that even if there's this perception or speculation that there are bad eggs, which is quite natural to some extent. Everywhere you go, there are bad eggs. No matter how advanced the country is, it is the job of the security architecture to fish them out.
Yes.
Surely you have to acknowledge that there are many more people who are trying to solve the problem.
I am not disputing that, but at the moment now, where are the good people? If the good effort, was higher than the bad one, we should have been seeing, a positive report. But the sabotage, the last time I talked about this sabotage thing, people who want Boko Haram to remain, or banditry in the Northwest, or the IPOP thing, they seems to be stronger, maybe even more stronger than the government in this country. That's just the bitter truth. Because there is no way, if government is serious and there's a suspicion on a particular individual for sponsoring Boko Haram, an investigation has taken place, and he is found culpable, and he's been arrested, that his friends or his allies will not take step backs from this. But in a situation where the government is willing to go to bed with criminals, I don't get it. This country is dying by the day, Mr. Talba. Innocent people are being killed. Look at these soldiers that were killed innocently. And it's not just in Borno. Every part of the country. Is it hunger killing you, or Boko Haram looking for you to kill? There has to be this demonstration of sincerity of purpose. If you are a military man in the war front, yes, I agreed the welfare, be it by the federal government or by the security structures itself to its own members, is poor, but at the same time it's not a reason for you to allow these things degenerate, because you are killing yourself and you are killing your country. So the government needs to be very decisive. These things should come with timeline. Chief of Army Staff, we have given you. Chief of Defense Staff, the President has approved. Is that
actually how it works? I mean,
I'm coming.
They always say when a war starts, but you can never tell when it's going to end.
But you know how it will be going on. Now, when we are talking about
but are you oversimplifying it if you say put a timeline on it?
There should be a timeline.
You can put KPIs and say, okay, let's take back some grounds, let's ensure law and order and things like that.
Those KPIs work with time.
But you also mentioned some of the international variables that are not dependent on our domestic approach to the issues.
But your intelligence will give you a projected time frame.
What do we do about the borders? Are the borders that easy to fix? I mean, we have one of the longest borders in the region.
Yes, we have one of the longest borders, but those that are very much critical can be handled, because we have an agency called Border Community Development Agency. Our borders that are very much vulnerable to all this, insurgency. Government should make a deliberate effort to bring about economic activities in those areas, because one of the things that bring about insecurity, Mr. Salva, you will believe me, is lack of job opportunities. Because a vulnerable person, you cannot dictate what he will do. He is sitting, he will wake up in the morning, there is nothing for him to do. In the daytime, nothing for him to do. At night, nothing for him to do. Continuously like that, and you tell him that somebody is offering him 50,000. Okay, you can imagine. I saw a video. One of the Fulani boys that were arrested around Plateau State, is confessing to receiving just 600,000 naira from the kidnapping arrangement. Meaning, once there is a kidnap, mediation begins to take place. The mediator has his price. Once the mediation has finished taking place and monies are paid, the perpetrator, that's the brain box behind it, the masterminder of this, is the main guy who is the actor. He gets to receive the largest share. 10 million naira is paid, 600,000 naira is paid to the one that took the bullet because he risked his life to pick the victim. But when he brings him to the forest, negotiation starts, an amount is pegged, money is received, the man cashed out. He has 9 million naira from this money. How will he allow these young boys that their cows has finished, their parents have been killed in communal clashes, how will he allow them to rest? Instead of making 9 million naira from one head, he will recruit 10 or 20 so that he will make 180 million naira once they can bring 20 victims. So these things will continue until our intelligence will stand and do their work diligently and bring it as at when due, and action should match the time the intelligence is served.
All right. Let's switch gears now, because when you talk about security, there's quite a lot to unpack. The National Assembly this week has been in the news, as you can imagine, over some of the head-scratching developments that we've witnessed so far. The House of Representatives rejected this this proposal in a legislative bill that talks about rotational presidency across the 6 geopolitical zones. Talk to me about what you think about that rejection vis-a-vis the conversation we're having about inclusion, about representation, and what Nigeria needs to counterbalance this argument about identity politics.
For me, the rotation would have been the best system in this country, because it will, first of all...
Micro or macro? Because they're in two folds. North and South, or...
No, I mean regional.
Geopolitical zones?
The 6 geopolitical. Yes.
You would support that?
I would support that. You know why? Because it will really douse the tension of we have never been given the chance to rule this country. And we have so many potentials in our region. We have retired directors and PAM6 ministers, we have retired generals, we have retired industry players, we have this, we have that, but we've never been given chance because of our number. So that will really address, and because of this opportunity not being addressed, you get to hear, even within the region, like now in the northern Nigeria, you get to hear some northerners also saying they are not in the north, they are in the middle belt. That means they want to form their own bloc to see if that will solve the problem and give them a chance to one day rule this country.
Isn't the bigger issue to find a way to deliver good governance without people feeling isolated or excluded from the grand scheme of things, instead of, emboldening the, primordial sentiments?
This has always been the case. Now, at the moment, when you talk about dividend of democracy as against sentiment from people because they have not been given a chance to rule the country, I would took the dividend of democracy being sent to the grassroots. But since that is not attained yet in the country, now people are looking at it, okay, because it is their own time, more development goes to their region. Meaning, when it comes to my own time, we will also do well. And if that will be the case, it's not a good idea, but it will solve the problem, kind of, because if you bring a fantastic presidential guy from the North Central and he rules for 8 years or 6 years, as the case may be, he will attend to other regions, but he gives more attention to the North Central. At the end of his 6 years, he must have taken a lot of development to the North Central. And when it is the time for Northeast, the same thing happened. Germany, as a nation, did that at some point. That was why you get to have so many states in Germany.
Well, Germany is not predominantly ethnic. I'm coming. Multicultural.
Forget about the ethnicity. I'm talking about the movement of the federal capital from one region to the other. Right. They did that, and it brought about development. So if the target is to develop the country, because now already there are tensions everywhere, right, and it's not being addressed. Every time There is sentiment going on. We have not been given the chance. And even in the northern Nigeria, the last time since the coming back of democracy, 1999, the president we have from the northern Nigeria are from the northwest. So the people in the northeast and north central are not happy with this arrangement. They are not happy with this arrangement. So if the sixth geopolitical zone will be given this kind of opportunity, I think I will buy into this idea.
Okay.
Of course, if there will be a president that will stand for all Nigerians and do his best at the same time simultaneously, that will be the best.
Okay.
But if we can't, then the regionalism will be better.
Right. I mean, obviously, they have rejected that bill. So I don't know if it's going to be revived or resurrected, whatever the case may be, as another piece of legislation somewhere down the line. But staying with developments in the National Assembly, the House of Representatives also passed for second reading this bill that talks about compulsory voting. Let's have a listen to what some of the lawmakers had to say in favor or against this idea of forcing Nigerians, or at least making it mandatory, to vote in elections.
But I have some reservations, Mr. Speaker. We are trying to put something on nothing. It is not the problem mandating citizens to vote. There is no problem making it compulsory for citizens to vote. But a situation where citizens have lost confidence in their vote, it becomes a problem, a very serious problem. And as such, Mr. Speaker, while we are making a law to make voting compulsory, we should also make a law that will make the votes.
So this bill is coming at the right time, a time where Nigerians are looking to this 10th house to let the playing field be level for inclusion, for everybody in every corner of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to come out and exercise their voting rights. Mr. Speaker, there has been some wrongs in the past that has made Nigerians not comfortable with the political system, but I believe that there must be a day that will mark the day of change.
Be the mode of enforcement. It is not just good enough that we have it in our books that voting is compulsory. How will it be enforced? My big brother, the Deputy Speaker, has referenced Australia, that certain incentives could be denied. What are the incentives in our claims? What are those things that citizens even enjoy? Is it that you'll be denied security? There is no water anywhere, as you say, you'll be denied your basic utilities. What exactly will be denied any man who has refused to vote in Nigeria? I don't think there's anything that can be denied any man that has refused to vote. Voting should be free. Some, even here in Parliament, some could afford to have a citizen.
One of those responsibilities, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, is to be involved in our democratic processes. The bill that is before us is not saying it is mandatory for a Nigerian to vote either A or B. No. It's saying that you must be counted in every election, whether it be local government, state, or federal.
The rationale, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, permit me to highlight the reasons this amendment is both necessary and timely. Low voters turnout. Nigeria has consistently recorded alarming low voters turnout rates in elections. For instance, in the 2023 general election, less than 30% of the registered voters participated. This trend undermines the legitimacy of election, governments, and weakened democratic institutions. Strengthening civic engagements. By making voting a legal obligation, we will instill in the citizens a sense of civic duty and shared responsibility in the governance process.
Speaker, in other climate, they have simplified the way of voting, and everybody participated by simplifying it. You can vote from your home, but I will add to tell our Electoral Commission to also simplify the way we vote so that people will be motivated.
Quite a robust debate there. Interestingly, at the end of the day, when the Speaker put the question to the lawmakers. There was a resounding support for the bill, which has now scaled second reading. It remains to be seen what comes next. But as you can imagine, this is one of those provocative legislative ideas that has caused, quite a divide nationally, because there are people in support, and as you can imagine, on the other side, people against it. So where do you stand on this one? Good or bad idea?
Good idea, wrong timing. It has happened in so many countries in the world. Many, Mr. Talba, many have enforced, mandatory voting. We are not the first to do it. In fact, statistically, about 27 countries out of the 195 are today experiencing, mandatory voting. But this is not even the part I'm going. My own, take on this matter is, if you want to do this, you get to look at, if you are looking at other countries who have done it and are doing it very well. There are countries who have started it but abolished it. Netherlands, and even the ones that are doing it, we look at those that are close to us. For example, out from the western part, we have Belgium, we have all this, Australia, we have countries that are currently into, mandatory voting. But let me give you a typical example of Belgium, who is closest to Nigeria because they are part of our colonial masters. Belgium, is a country that is about 200 years today, started mandatory voting in 1893. Mr. Talba, 1893. They got their independence in 1830. 63 years, so we share something in common. 60-something years after independence, we got our independence 1960. 65 years later, we are talking about mandatory voting. The same thing with them now. About the years is common. But you look at where does Belgium stands, even as at the time they implemented the compulsory voting. They have one of the best GDPs. The population of Belgium is just about 11-point-something million. The poverty rate is just 13%, about 2.1 million of their population. And they are doing averagely very well. Now, look at the Nigerian aspect of it. Population 270 to 300 million. GDP, even with the number, just about 350 billion. Very low. Poverty,
nominal GDP is around 500 billion or so.
Yeah, poverty rate in Nigeria at rural level about 75%, at urban level about 43%. On the average overall, our poverty rate is about 54 to 55%, which constitute more than 50% of our population, about 130 million Nigerians living below poverty line. Now, if you have all these things at your door, and the least you want to be looking at is compulsory voting, asking these people that can't even put food on the table.
But don't you think? I can understand that sentiment of
because
it looking like a draconian law legislative overreach.
The advantage.
Don't you also understand the argument about civic responsibility?
Civic responsibility, but civic responsibility is intertwined. I cannot be responsible when you are not responsible to me. I cannot be responsible to you. I can't. There are some certain expectations from citizens to their government. And this thing is vice versa. If you want me to do this, then I should be able to put food on the table for my family. I should be able to afford, healthcare. I should be able to afford education for my children. These are basic. I should have water, just like the way one of the members is saying. And if you are now, some of the people, one of the advantage of doing this thing maximally is increasing voter turnout. Look at all the countries that did it. Statistically, Mr. Talba, the percentage change in their voting system has never exceeded 10%. Has never exceeded 10% till date. All the countries that are doing it. And one of the disadvantages is that you can take a horse to the river. You cannot force it to drink. Do you know what some people are doing in many countries? They go to the polling unit the ballot box, they invalidate it. Or they put it blank. Two things. You force me to the ballot box, I will not vote. Or at best, if I vote, I will spoil it, invalidate it. Now, the cost of making me vote and the logistics at the end of the day wasted. So one of the disadvantages of this compulsory voting is that it is expensive. Now, if it is expensive, doesn't Nigeria has critical issues to attend to as a matter of urgency and national security than compulsory voting?
And do you think, looking at our voter register with over 92 million registered voters, right, do you think this is even enforceable? I mean, we have a lot of other things that we say is mandatory or compulsory, like basic education, for instance. But we also have millions of kids roaming the streets without...
And even the compulsory education, has it been attended?
Exactly. So do you think this is even enforceable?
It's not. You can't. Because now, even in countries who have done it, they made it flexible. Okay, there's a fine to it, but the moment the voting is taking place and you are not in the country, you'll be excused. And even if you are in the country and you did not vote, and the government gets to find out, the fine in some countries is as little, like Argentina, is as little as 500 pesos, which is just about $2 or $3. You understand? Now, in Nigeria, if you want to do this today, and you say people must vote by force, believe you me, you are inviting another serious problem for yourself. So I think the government should relax. What you should do is to appetize the voter to go to the ballot box. How do you do that? Dividend of democracy. Make life meaningful for him. Make life affordable for him. Make life interesting for him. You don't need to force him. On his own, he goes to the ballot box because he wants continuity. But in a situation where you want to force him when he is hungry, he is sick, he is frustrated, and you want him to go and vote you. He is not voting himself because the vote, yes, the argument of democracy is of the people. And when you say of the people, you are not saying of some people, it's of everybody. But even in the definition of everybody, there is the legal and political aspect of the voting. So for me, I think the National Assembly should relax, and they should be concentrating on taking dividends of democracy to their respective federal constituencies and senatorial districts, as against forcing the voter to go and vote, because they may end up not getting it the way they think, because it's not a good step.
All right, still talking about some of the political developments. I mean, obviously, you look at the 25% voter turnout, which is one of the lowest we had in the last election, and you can tell that the disenchantment is still growing. There's a very good chance that we might see it turn around in 2027. There's no telling, to be honest, what will happen, looking at where Nigerians stand today. Let's talk about another issue that has dominated the headlines most recently. The idea of a shadow government has clearly unsettled one particular agency of our security architecture, which has decided to take action, legal action, against the convener or the brain behind the shadow government. Professor Pat Utomi has responded. He said, listen, he's not afraid of being arrested, but this idea behind holding the government accountable through the concept of a shadow government is not going to die, and then there will be no going back. What do you make of the back and forth around this? Because an issue has been made about the growing intolerance or of a zealousness of institutions of government who take it upon themselves to become somewhat political in their response to some of these. Okay, we're going to take a quick moment to allow our guest catch his breath. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to the program. You're still watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. We're back to continue the conversation with our guest, who I suppose is ready to go. Yeah, we're talking about shadow government. The idea is quite strange, to say the least, in a presidential system, because this is something that you find with parliamentary system of government. But the idea has also been interpreted in such a way that a lot of Nigerians think that our institutions of government have become political or partisan, to say the least, in terms of their reaction to some of these developments. And the DSS took Professor Pat Utomi to court about this initiative. Talk to me about this whole idea of tolerance. You're a member of the APC. Do you think that there is some sort of overreach from the way some of government institutions react to some of these developments that are purely political in nature?
Yeah, Mr. Talba, you know, the government should not be afraid of criticism, so long as it doesn't amount to sabotage. The government should not be afraid of criticism. And the concentration should be, like we always say, and we keep saying it, it cannot be, you can never say it, you know, more. No matter how you say it, you are saying it on the right way. Criticism is good. The government should continue to concentrate on things that would deliver dividends of democracy to its people. And for individuals or group of people who feel the necessity to say, we are not comfortable with what the government is doing, there is no transparency or accountability in the dealings of government, and we want to hold you accountable. And we rally people of our kind to say, okay, look, this you are not doing it right, and this is how you are supposed to do it. If the government has nothing to hide, in most cases, the engagement is going to be objective, as against threatening. I saw the response you are talking about. Pat Utomi said he has already warmed his wrist for handcuff, and it's good, you know. But I'm encouraging our government so that democracy, you know, should come to stay, as against people having the feelings that if I'm not with you, I'm against you. Pat Utomi has the right, as a Nigerian, he has the right to air his view on the way the government is running. And if his input, so long as it falls within the ambit of the law, I don't see anywhere he threatens, you know, the existence of the government or the presidential seat or the institution that we are talking about, the security, or influencing insecurity. So long as his approach is about government taking their responsibility to citizens the way they are supposed to, I think government should allow these things to happen, because they are supposed to be checks and balance to governance. He should be invited, not arrested.
Well, nobody is talking about arresting him at the moment.
But I saw that he said he has warmed up his wrist.
I mean, that's what he is saying, but the DSS is not saying.
Maybe it's his feeling that if, as soon as he lands, because he even gave a date that he will be in the country, I think on the 12th of June. He said it. And as soon as he comes, he knows that he will be arrested. Now, even if he is blowing it out of proportion or trying to make something out of it, you know, the government should invite him, discuss with him on these, you know, accusations. What are your concerns? How do we address them? Can you be part? Because for me, so long as government is for the people, I will be making reference to this ever. If you challenge me of not doing my job well, it's not a do or die affair, because I am supposed to discharge my responsibility. Come to the table. How are we supposed to do it? If your own approach is logically best, why not we take it? The victory is for the nation. It's not for myself. It's not for you.
Yeah, but do you generally think that government institutions like our security architecture, for instance, are overreaching by seeming to jump into the political arena and fight for the government in power?
Yeah, it's not necessary sometimes.
Right.
It's not necessary.
Right.
Because on a normal ground, he is in the country, he can be invited. Look, these are the things you say, and this might likely be the security implication. Don't you think if you had if you had taken the other route, it would have been best? Convince him instead of fighting him. Okay. So I think he should be invited, as against, I don't know if he's threatened or, so he should be invited. And every other persons that sympathize with Pat Utomi on this or want to be part of it should be invited.
Okay. Engineer Hammanyero, thank you so much for joining us on the program. I appreciate you for the analysis. Thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you, Mr. Talba, for having me.
And of course, as always, thank you most kindly for your time and company. We do appreciate you for tuning in. Daily Politics returns next week, Monday, live and exclusive on Trust TV at 8 p.m. Until next time, I am Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time. We'll see you soon.